Welcome back to the Power Six podcast. Here's your host, Isaiah Rose.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us in another week of the Power Six podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see we have the whole Power Six group. We got Max, Devin, Bradley, Connor, Headley, and myself, Isaiah. Another exciting week of college football that all of us got to witness with our own eyes at the Nebraska game this week. I'm not going to, do too much here in this introduction, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass things off to Max with this week's agenda.
Thank you, Isaiah. This week, we do have a Husker game to react to, which is exciting. And even more exciting, it is a win. How fun. So we'll just get straight into that because things are pretty standard this week. So the Huskers win 35-21 over Indiana. Mickey Joseph's first win as Husker head coach. Nebraska moves to 1-1 in Big Ten play and tied for first place in their division. The Big Ten West. We know the gauntlet that the Big Ten West is, so that's saying something. That's for sure.
Let the Kool-Aid flow, man. Let the Kool-Aid flow.
Always got to have a straw in there. I was very impressed by Saturday's game. They started out kind of flat-footed in the first half. I was really disappointed to see them Indiana tie it up right before halftime. But the second half was a completely different story. If you guys watched Mark Whipple's press conference today, he said, I feel like my point doesn't get across if I walk around like I'm a nice guy, but it's a completely different story if I walk around like I'm a dick. And it kind of reminded me of when Bo Pelini was coaching us and, really getting into the guys that just aren't performing right and trying to get them going, get that spark going so that our offense is performing better. And I think you could clearly see it in the second half.
Yeah, first half to second half in this game was quite the difference, especially defensively for the Huskers. By far the best defensive performance from the Huskers so far this year, especially in the fourth quarter, holding Indiana to 5 yards of offense in the fourth quarter. Huskers had the ball for 11 minutes of the 15 minutes in the fourth quarter, which is huge. They finally were able to close the game out. I felt like the game management from Mickey Joseph, from Whipple on offense, from Bill Busch on defense was just so much better than we've seen in the past. And this is now the first time that it's a completely new sort of head trio of the Nebraska football program since Scott Frost. Mickey Joseph, not Frost guy. Whipple, not Frost guy. Bill Busch, not Frost guy. And they're leading this team. And the first game that all three of those guys are leading this team, they go out there and get the win. And they look good doing it. I love what I saw from the defense. Casey Thompson looked good. It was just refreshing. It was nice to see.
It was so nice. It was literally a full team win, which is awesome to see. And the guys just love Mickey Joseph. Some of the notes I got here is our offense is good. Like, they're second in points for at 63. Ohio State is number one with 103. And then Michigan's third with 61. So they're right behind us. Our O-line needs to be better, obviously. Big Ten is a big trenches game. Like, if you don't have a good O-line, if you don't have a good D-line, you're really going to be struggling. And then our defense, like you guys said, like, it looked good. Like, Bill Busch might be to the rescue. Thank God, hopefully. So let's keep that wave running, man.
Yeah, a couple. Go ahead, Headley.
I was just happy to see us get a special teams touchdown. That was awesome. I've rewatched it multiple times. That was my best Husker moment in person in a long time.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It felt really good to get a conference win. It was our first FBS and Big Ten win in nearly a year, in 364 days. So that felt really good.
It felt really good also being in the stadium and like going to a football game and like cheering. You know what I mean? Like cheering for something. That doesn't happen a lot. Just strange. Like I was like when we were there, I like put my hands up in the air and went, yeah. And I haven't done that in like 5 years probably. So that felt good.
The other thing too, Headley, you and I were talking about this when we were at the game, but like in that third quarter when it's 21-21 and it's, we had just given up 14 quick points before halftime. We're like, we do not think we're going to win this game. There's no way that we were going to win this game. And that's because in the past, Yeah, in the past, Frost and his staff and that team had given us zero reason to believe we could ever win a game like that. So it was so nice to be pleasantly surprised and finally win a close competitive game. And we kind of did the same thing last year against Michigan State, where it's like we shut them down in the second half and in the fourth quarter. We didn't give them anything, but we found a way to lose the game. And in this game, we did the same thing. We shut Indiana down in the second half. Indiana scored 0 points in the second half. And this time, instead of choking it, Huskers found a way to win. So really a different feeling. Another thing too, Trey Palmer, Anthony Grant are legit. Anthony Grant is 8th in the country in yards per game, 6th in total rush yards in the country. And Trey Palmer is 18th in the country in receiving yards per game. That is a fun duo. We have a clear number one at both wide receiver and running back, which is super nice. They're both on pace for over 1,000 yards receiving and rushing respectively this year, which would be insane. I mean, a couple of the best performers in the Big Ten right now at their positions. Also, real quick,
Palmer's getting helped out by that Casey Thompson long ball. That's definitely the best part of his game. I know, like that was like the scouting report going into it that he had the nice long ball. That's 100% the best part of his game. He's so good at that.
He has a beautiful deep ball. That touchdown he had to Trey Palmer in the third quarter was awesome.
And then to open the game, our first drive, they went long ball. That was it. That was so cool.
I think that Nebraska's first possession offense is the best offense in football history.
Oh, I do not think they just got something about scoring on the first drive easily. Like they don't experience a third down in the first drive ever. Just 7 points.
We love scripting, man. We love scripting our first drive.
I mean, scripting that last first drive was had to have been pretty easy. Like let's just throw it long once and throw it long twice. You know, that was awesome. That's how I run my games in Madden.
Some other big improvements at the Huskers so far this year. They're 14 of 17 in the red zone. That was obviously a huge struggle last year. That's much better. And I think it has a big
14 of 17, like to get a touchdown or just score?
I believe that's scoring. But I actually don't know. Either way, though, that's way better than last year.
That's for touchdowns. That's way too good. That can't be real.
I do not believe that's touchdowns. I believe that's just scoring.
Just getting points is typically what that red zone efficiency is tracked for. And yeah, that's super impressive because, in the past we've either had issues punching it in or we had issues with the kicking game. And I think we're starting to put the pieces together where we could be, if everybody shows up, we could be a solid team all the way around.
Yeah, I've liked Whipple's play selection in the red zone too. 81% of our plays in the red zone have been run plays. I think that's just simplifying things. And it helps that we have an Anthony Grant back there, but that's nice. How about the penalties, guys? 23 total penalties for 203 yards in this game. It's absolutely ridiculous. This crew sucks.
Yeah.
This crew
it was
sucks. It made the game so long. The first half was like 2 hours, and I would look up. I was like, "Oh my God, we still have 12 minutes left in the second quarter." I don't know if you guys remember. Me and Max talked about this, but this is the same crew from the Michigan game last year that was awful, and the Oklahoma game last year. Like these guys, we thought they were fired, and then lucky for us, we get to see him coach Nebraska and Indiana. So that was insane. I hated that.
That was a very long game. I had the same feeling too. I looked up and there was still so much time left in the second quarter. And I know a lot of the other games are already at halftime. It was crazy how long that game just felt the entire night.
Yeah.
Dude, it's just it makes the game so much less fun to watch when they're calling games like that. And I mean, yeah, they were bad, but they were bad on both sides. It's kind of like in baseball with you got an umpire that's calling a strike on a ball 2 feet outside. Like maybe he's calling it for both teams, but it still just sucks. We have to deal with this for the whole game. And it doesn't make the game flow when you've got 4 back-to-back penalties, man.
Yeah, I think it's super unfortunate that we had that many penalties. But if we're to look at one positive from this, a Nebraska team of old would have let those penalties kill their drives, and it would have been it would have been the downfall of the game. We would have lost the game, and then all the fans would have been sitting there blaming the refs. I think they fought through that adversity. Not that we had it any easier than Indiana. It was just both bad on each side. But the way that Nebraska was able to play through those penalties and still come out with the win just shows that they're more motivated and they're more determined to play better.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I got for this Nebraska game is how passionate the coaches were. Like, we never saw that out of Scott. Like, I loved seeing Whipple get on Casey Thompson, and just like Mickey Joseph yelling, like getting in our players' face, like getting them hyped up and everything. So just the passion that they bring. I mean, it's tackle football. Like, these guys need to go out there and like win the battle. It's a war out there. Can't just be like, all right, guys, go ahead, go get them. Like, no, you got to be amped up, man. So I love the passion from these guys.
Yeah, it's nice to see for sure. It's a lot of fun to watch too. You know, Scott Frost, it's like he hits snooze in his alarm 12 times, shows up with crust in his eyes, moping around. Nice to see a coach that looks energetic.
I completely agree with that stuff, guys. These guys, Whipple was getting on Casey, and we heard in Casey's press conference that he likes being coached. Mickey Joseph was getting on Corcoran after the penalty. Bill Bush gets on his guys. It's really good to see. I love Bill Bush's defense, man. I thought he simplified things. He gave our corners more one-on-one matchups to try to make some plays. He trusted them a little bit more. He played Tommy Hill less. That was nice to see. Yeah.
Tommy Hill is not a starter anymore.
Yeah, well,
he was benched finally.
He was getting burned.
He was getting
absolutely
cooked.
Burned. He was killing us.
Yeah. One last thing too, Devin. I know you mentioned Mark Whipple's press conference today. Another thing that he said that I thought was interesting, he was asked about sort of the West and what Nebraska can do. And Mark Whipple said, he was like, I don't know if these guys think they can win every game. And he told them that they can. He's like, he said, he's like, I think we can win the West. It's tied. We're tied for first, you know, act like it and play like it. And I really like that because in these past seasons, I think these guys are so just caught up in, like, I don't know if we can do this. And Mark Whipple won the ACC last year at Pitt, and he's probably going, like, we can do this. You guys just got to have the mentality, like, we can go out there and win every game. The West isn't that great. So I really like that today. I think that's his sentiment. Just go out there and act like you belong.
Yeah, I know. A point that he made during that press conference today as well, just kind of speaking to that, was that he said, it's really disheartening that when I came here, the expectation was to just make a bowl game. I think these guys can win the Big Ten. I think we can win the Big Ten West. They need to act like it. They need to show it. And they need to play like it. And I absolutely love that. I think he is super passionate about the players. He cares about them. He wants them to perform well and win. And I really hope that whoever Nebraska hires to be the next head coach, that Mark Whipple sticks around.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even more so, Mickey Joseph and Bill Bush, really like them. I think they have the same attitude that, you know, this team can do whatever they set out to do. So just got to keep at it. Let's get into some more games this weekend, though. It was a phenomenal slate, and there was a ton of good games. We'll start off with Michigan, Iowa. So the Wolverines win 27-14. This game was kind of that Big Ten game. There's nothing crazy about it. Connor, what did you think?
It's kind of how I expected it to go, honestly. Just no offense from Iowa. Still no signs of offense with Brian Ferentz there. The defense still did good, but you're going to have to expect for the defense to give up some points against one of the best teams in the country. And with them being out on the field so much, because the offense sucks, it's hard on a team. So, and one of their touchdowns was a garbage time touchdown. So, I mean, 20 points realistically should still be in that game if you have a decent offense. And I mean, Petrus had some okay stats, threw for like 250 yards, is like the best he's done in a while, but most of that was just garbage time when they were down by 20 or 14 points, and he has no pressure on him. So I don't know. I don't really count that. And yeah, the offense, it doesn't have just one problem, I don't think. as I wrote in my notes, like a lot of people are just blaming Petrus. A lot of people are blaming Brian Ferentz, but it's like everything. It's the O-line, Petrus, Ferentz. A lot to blame. So I don't know. I hope they can figure something out, but I don't think so. I feel like I was kind of stuck, honestly, with Brian Ferentz being the son of Kirk. They're kind of stuck with Kirk not wanting to fire Brian, and nobody wants to do anything about it because everyone wants to keep Kirk still. So kind of stuck. The athletic director is not going to fire Brian. So Brian to assistant coach, I think maybe that's what's going to happen next.
I'm not
Brian.
surprised Iowa lost. Not surprised Iowa lost at all because Michigan's a good football team. And
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised. I wasn't expecting Iowa to win.
No.
I picked them last week. Just being a
Homer
homer.
pick. Yeah, you have to. You have
Got
to.
to do it.
You guys are in that. If
wasn't
we were in that same position, we would.
unrealistic for them to win due to the Kinnick Magic, but
No.
it wasn't a night game. So
What I am surprised about is Iowa scoring 2 touchdowns. That is
One was
what
a
I'm
garbage
surprised
time
at.
touchdown.
One was with 30 seconds left in the game.
2
Yeah.
touchdowns. Doesn't matter.
two
They
of
still scored.
Michigan's last touchdown and Iowa's last touchdown were both garbage time. So I mean,
Yeah.
basically like 20-7.
I was gonna say the same thing. I was surprised to see 2 touchdowns by Iowa there.
Yeah, in that game, Michigan went down and scored in their first drive, and right after that, you just felt like there was a mountain to climb for Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also thought it was surprising Iowa only had 35 rush yards on the day. That's not, as we'll find out with the rest of the slate of games this weekend. There were some other teams with some bad rush yard totals, but that is not a formula for success, especially in the Big Ten.
There were also some drives that Iowa did have going pretty good. Petrus throwing it good. And then they were just ended by some just terrible play calls, especially one where it was like 4th and 2, and they did a 1-yard little drag route. And it was just a terrible call. And that was one that really killed the momentum. But yeah, we all know Brian Ferentz sucks. Let's move on.
Sounds good. We can move on from that one. Next, we have UCLA beating Washington on a Friday night game, 40-32. Not a ton to say about this. I mean, it was just the game wasn't quite as close as that score says. UCLA looked really good. Chip Kelly's got his team rolling, and all of a sudden UCLA is ranked 18th in this week's state people.
Yeah, UCLA was dominant. This was my Washington was my lock of the week last week. Not so much a lock that I thought, I guess, but they absolutely dominated Washington. And after the safety that Washington gave up, the year of the safety, boys.
We love safeties.
We love safeties here. No, I'm actually fine with Chuba Purdy giving up that touchdown. Whatever.
I wanted that to be a safety so bad.
I did too, but then they get the ball back, and then who knows at what point. But we still won. Whatever.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
But after that safety that UCLA got, it was all UCLA from then on out. And yeah, Max, you're right about that score. It doesn't really show, how good UCLA really was.
Yeah.
They still have nobody showing up to their games, though.
That's true.
It's California sports, man.
They do have a big home game this week, though, which I'm expecting a good crowd.
Not going to be sold out, though.
No, probably not.
In the
Rose Bowl's big,
what
though.
What a shame, though. What a shame to have such a nice stadium not be filled.
Well, the Rose Bowl isn't even on UCLA's campus. It's like 40 minutes away.
Like an hour away, yeah. That's what I thought.
Yeah, like 45 minutes away. So
which is kind of dumb.
Yeah, it's tough. That seems like Miami. Like they play Hard Rock Stadium. That's pretty far from their campus, actually. Pretty tough. Anyway, we can move on to some SEC action. Ole Miss beats Kentucky 22-19. They get the upset ranking wise, but of course they were favored in this game. This was a really close, good game. Not super surprising, not close. I think Kentucky's still a really good team. They can still do a lot of damage in the SEC, but Ole Miss looks really good now too. I'm excited for some of their bigger games against Alabama and some other teams.
I was disappointed with Kentucky in this game because they literally had two chances in the fourth quarter, and they literally fumbled the opportunity both times.
That's true. That was crazy.
They were both by the quarterback, I believe. I was really going for Kentucky here because I like them right now. I was just really upset to see that happen, but it is what it is.
As a sixth team.
No.
That is pretty disappointing because wasn't one of those like in the red zone, if not like pretty close to the goal line?
I'm pretty sure they were on like the 10-yard line when that one happened.
Yeah, they were knocking on the door, and the quarterback he tried to get a few extra yards and couldn't hold on to it, and that's tough. Almost as bad as Missouri last week when they had the chance to walk off with the win, and they decided to throw the ball into the end zone.
Next, how about this result, guys? TCU absolutely obliterates Oklahoma 55-24. I know when we were watching this game, we couldn't quite believe it. And Oklahoma
is Kansas bad, or is Oklahoma bad?
Oklahoma is not doing too good right now. They're on a 2-game losing streak, and it's not that defense is not looking good. One thing about this too, TCU's offensive coordinator is Garrett Riley. He is the brother of Lincoln Riley. Did not know that. So maybe Lincoln gave Garrett a little inside information on Oklahoma and their players in a scouting report, or more like just some family payback. But that's got to feel good for the Riley family, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm taking back my comment that I said earlier after Nebraska played Oklahoma. We did make Oklahoma look like a much better team than they actually are.
Yeah.
I know in the first half, in the second quarter, I saw the scores like 42-17. TCU was up. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, what is going on? Oklahoma throttled us, and then they lose to Kansas State, and now they're getting throttled by the Horned Frogs. I was very surprised, to say the least.
Dude, I don't know how Nebraska managed to score only 7 points against Oklahoma, or was it 14, one garbage time? But
yeah,
I didn't watch this game live. I watched the highlights, and every score, it was a classic Big 12 game. Every score was like 70 yards untouched all the way to the end zone. There were plays where TCU had wide receivers with 20 yards in between them and any Oklahoma player. I don't know how Nebraska got beat so bad by them. It's ridiculous.
I'll come to Nebraska's defense slightly on that and saying we're bad. But
they're really bad, yeah.
But it was our first game after we had 6 days to prepare with a brand new coach. We just fired a coach, and we still had Eric Shenander. So we're trying to revamp things. I will say, I think that was just kind of a recipe for disaster for the Huskers, if you will.
TCU was scoring untouched, though. It was.
Oh yeah.
They made Oklahoma look really bad.
TCU had 668 yards of offense, 307 passing, 361 rushing. They had just under 9 yards a carry. That is ridiculous. By the way, Lewis Central graduate in Council Bluffs, Max Duggan, quarterback for TCU. He had a 96.1 QBR. He was 23 of 33, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. This was as dominant of a performance as you can get from an offense versus a defense.
Yeah,
which is crazy to see.
Yeah, definitely. I love to see TCU pull out that big win, especially with, we talked a lot about how atrocious the refs were in the Nebraska game. But some of the calls that the refs made against TCU during that game were unbelievable.
Yeah.
The no call on an obvious pass interference down the sideline where the safety just straight up like teed off on the guy, hit him before the ball even got to his hands. And then a couple drives later, the TCU player catches a punt and returns it, but they called it dead because he said he called a fair catch. And on the replay, the returner never raised his arm. And so that just kind of was like icing on the cake that they were able to still go out there and get it done and by a big margin, because I felt like for a time Oklahoma was getting handed a lot of calls.
Yeah, we were watching that live and couldn't quite believe some of those calls, but Big 12 refs, just about as bad as Big 10 refs sometimes, I tell you what. But let's move on to some Big 10 action then. Purdue beats Minnesota 20-10. For me, this was, and I know probably for all of us, this was a very surprising result. I wouldn't have been surprised if the game maybe was close, but Minnesota just really fumbled the ball in this one, not literally, but figuratively on this entire game. Tanner Morgan, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He had a 17 QBR, and the Gophers had 47 rush yards. Kind of the theme of the day. If you don't have many rush yards, you're not going to win, and that was the case here. Tough for Fleck.
Yeah, it's not what I expected at all either. Another lock of the week failed for me here on this game with me picking the over at 53 points. Wasn't expecting Minnesota to go out and score only 10, but I was expecting Purdue to score around 20. But yeah, just a shocker in that game.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is the one time we all go against Purdue in the picks, and then we can't figure out Purdue this year, guys. I don't know what's going on. I was very surprised to see the Gophers just play as atrocious as they really did.
I called it, man. I called it. But we do know one thing about Purdue, and they're always a dark horse the last couple of years. They love knocking down teams that are ranked. Love it. Which I'm honestly, we run a professional sports media company. We're biased or unbiased. I love seeing that. So.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I think it's going to prove that any Big Ten West matchup this year, just flip a coin, like anyone could win it. Who knows?
Yeah, we got go ahead, Devin.
I was just gonna say I'm right there with you, Connor. Where I had this as my lock of the week. I was really thinking that Minnesota was going to get it done, and Purdue just has that one game where they show out and they just upset some ranked team, and it blows everybody's mind. But they've been doing it the last couple of years. I just didn't expect it to come against Minnesota. I was waiting for them to play maybe a bigger school, such as Michigan or Ohio State. I don't know what their schedule looks like the rest of the year, but I think they have one of those two teams, and to do it then. But maybe that's good for the Ohio State Michigan fans if they got it out of the way already.
And I think the theme here is do not bet against or with Purdue. Like, you just don't know what they're gonna do.
You don't bet on anyone in the Big Ten West, man.
We have missed Purdue all year.
Yeah.
All year. So yeah, that's our theme here is
Fade Purdue.
Fade Purdue.
As in, don't even touch a bet with their name.
Stay as far away from Purdue as you can.
Or don't.
Yeah, don't bet on that team.
Or bet the opposite of what we've been betting.
Yeah, whatever we choose. Do we have Purdue in the picks this week? I don't think we do.
Fade Power 6. Yes, we do.
We do.
Purdue,
I believe
Maryland.
So.
I feel like.
Why did I put that in there?
I feel like at this point they need to stay in the picks every week. We're gonna pick every Nebraska game.
That one's a tough
and
one.
every
We just can't all pick the same pick.
I feel like this one though, we will have some different picks, so that's good. That's good.
We will.
Oh man. Next crazy result in the Big Ten. No one saw this coming except for yours truly in the Power 6, Isaiah Rose. Great call there, Isaiah. Phenomenal pick here.
Yes.
Illinois beats Wisconsin 34-10. Like I said, they didn't just win. They absolutely routed Wisconsin here. This is the craziest stat that I might see all year. Wisconsin had 2 rush yards.
Jeez.
Wisconsin had 2 rush yards. In the entire game, they averaged 0.1 yards per carry. I think Braylon Allen ended up with 8 yards. The rest of the guys had negative.
That is actually insane. I didn't think for a team with a running back to the caliber of Braylon Allen is just wow. That's incredible.
I was saying the whole time, Wisconsin is a fraud team. We talked about it in the preseason, or like week 0, that Graham Mertz is not a good quarterback, and he's really proving it this year. Especially with this loss, Wisconsin is at the bottom of the Big Ten West, and who knows how long they've been at the bottom. Granted, they've only played 2 conference games, but you never see Wisconsin at the bottom of the West. It's crazy to see. I still think Wisconsin is a fraud team, and the coach kind of had what was coming for him after that terrible loss.
That's a hot
I'd love to
take
see
right
a little.
That is a very hot take.
Going on. A little Bielema comes in, beats Wisconsin, and I don't know. I mean, not living in Wisconsin, but I'm pretty certain that they hate Bielema.
They do.
They hate him, And then that to have him just come in and beat down on Wisconsin, oh my gosh, that's got to be bad. That aspect alone makes me like not as surprised about the firing, but still surprised about the firing.
We were all at Lincoln, so we didn't get to really watch this game. So I made sure to watch the highlights because I was like, this was insane, and Illinois just destroyed Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. And now Wisconsin is just in shambles. Like Paul Chris being fired. I don't know if we mentioned that yet. I know Isaiah did, but I don't know. That's
Crazy.
I'm going to talk about it later a little bit, but I think that was crazy and honestly stupid on Wisconsin.
And I couldn't agree with you more. It's very similar to a Bo Pelini situation where he was coaching great teams, winning football games. I think I saw somewhere that he had multiple 10-win seasons. He's won the Big Ten West a number of times. But to touch on Headley's part about a revenge game, here's a crazy stat for you guys. Paul Chris has coached 93 games from 2015 to 2022, and he has 67 wins. The person in front of him in terms of second all time in Wisconsin is Brett Bielema in 92 games. So the fact that he went to Wisconsin, beat him so bad that they had to fire him is just kind of I bet Brett was feeling real good after that game.
Yeah, I'm sure Brett was that Brett Bielema, he ended up leaving on his own accord after the regular season in I think it was 2012 to go to Arkansas, and Wisconsin still had to play in the Rose Bowl game, and they had Barry Alvarez, their head coach, as interim, but he kind of did him dirty leaving before that one.
He left before the Rose Bowl?
Yes.
I didn't even know that. I forgot, I guess.
Yeah, Wisconsin ended up playing TCU in the Rose Bowl that year, and they had Barry Alvarez, who's like their legendary head coach from the 90s, step in as interim for the one game for that game because Brett Bielema took the bigger money offer from Arkansas. So,
well, I think I touched on it last week how I said that Paul Chris was already in the hot seat, and I think this kind of
we talked about this.
This was the tip of the iceberg here for him.
How about this, guys? Paul Chryst at Wisconsin record was 67-26. Bo Pelini at Nebraska's record was 66-27.
Yeah, I was going to say that earlier. I saw that.
Paul Chryst was also 43-18 in the Big Ten. He had 3 West titles. He was 6-1 in bowl games. He was 16-4 versus the 3 rivals, Nebraska, Minnesota, and Iowa. This just feels eerily similar to Bo Pelini's firing. And I think it's similar because exactly the same because Paul Chryst, I think Wisconsin last year, and especially to begin this year, was on a little bit of a downward trend. But at the same time, can you not see things through? I mean, that happens in college football every now and then, You're not always going to have 10-win season. You're not always going to win the West. So I think it's just extremely similar situation to Wisconsin. I also think they didn't want to lose their defensive coordinator, Jim Leonard. I've heard rumors that this is now his job to lose. They really want to keep him as head coach. So I don't know. Going to be so interesting to see where this goes. He also had a $20 million buyout, but they negotiated it down to $11 million. So Wisconsin's doing a little better on the money front than Nebraska. But we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into the Big Ten West. We'll talk about more of the standings in Nebraska, Wisconsin, all that stuff. But we can move on real quick. Alabama, Arkansas, 49-26, the Tide win. This game got close for a little while. It was 28-23 at one point. But Alabama ended up rolling away. Bryce Young got injured. I think he's day-to-day, though. I don't think he's anything crazy. But Alabama's backup looked amazing. Not surprising.
Poor Pigs here, man. I was surprised to see this loss by that much because I think the spread was 17. I thought that was rightfully so for Arkansas, but yeah, they kind of got throttled up there. So,
hey, yo, shout out Andrew Lindenmeyer, Hogs.
Hogs. I'm calling it Pigs.
Shout out Andrew Lindenmeyer.
Don't care.
Next, we got Oklahoma State and Baylor. This one, The Cowboys win 36-25. Great call there by Isaiah and Headley. And Jacob, I know that you have had you've been high on Oklahoma State this whole year. I haven't been as big on them, but this game kind of changes my mind. Yeah, they're looking good. I still think their defense has some questions, but
the last
overall,
5 years, no one talks about Oklahoma State.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Go Pokes.
Oklahoma State in their last 20 games is 18-2. That includes 7-1 against ranked teams. They might be. I know they're ranked top 10, almost top 5.
They're disrespected, man.
They are. It's crazy.
Not by. I mean, the rankings. Who cares about the rankings? But
yeah.
Just in college football in general, nobody talks about Oklahoma State. Nobody talks about them. Everyone talks about Oklahoma and Texas from the Big 12, and those guys, they aren't even ranked.
Bad. Yeah, Mike Gundy just keeps proving himself as the Cowboys head coach. So he's got a steady program there. They play a physical brand of football. I found this out the other day. Rob Glass is the strength and conditioning coach at Oklahoma State. He's the highest paid strength and conditioning coach in all of football. He's getting paid over $1 million a year as a strength and conditioning coach. Our strength and conditioning coach right now gets paid like $300K a year. And he's not, what the fuck is he doing? But anyway, so that's impressive stuff for we've been really bad by conditioning over the last couple of years. But I think Mike Gundy, just his entire time there, like that's what he has made his brand on. His Oklahoma State is physical. You never see them. They don't get blown out. I don't know. They just play competitive football, so.
They get a really cool mascot too.
Yeah, they do. Any mascot with guns is cool. Next, Wake Forest, Florida State. Sorry, I got Oklahoma State on the mind right now. The Demon Deacons beat the Seminoles 31-21. Florida State was favored by 7 in this game, so a 10-point win by Wake Forest beats the spread by a large margin. But I think Wake Forest is a really good team. They've almost beat Clemson. Now they come and beat a good Florida State team. I've been really impressed with Wake Forest so far this year.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised because I don't know. I kind of thought last year was kind of a fluke year for them, but I was kind of doubting them this year. But I gotta give some respect to them because I was doubting them. They're proven to me now that they're a pretty legit team, and give more respect to them now when they're in the picks. But yeah, they're looking really good, and they could be heading to the. I don't know how the ACC works, if they have an East or West or whatnot, but they could win their side of the conference and go up against Clemson, because I think Clemson's the only other team that's good in the conference, honestly.
NC State.
No, NC State proved me wrong. So
Isaiah, I do agree with you. I think Clemson's basically got a ticket signed to the playoff.
Yeah.
It might be, yeah.
Where do you rank Florida State's defense at after this weekend's performance?
We don't want to talk about that one.
We can replay that where you said they have a better defense than Clemson, and here you are saying Clemson's got an automatic ticket to the ACC championship.
Headley said they had automatic.
No, I said they got a ticket to the playoff.
Oh,
I said
I don't agree with the playoffs, but yeah. I
Wait,
still think Clemson is going to go to the ACC championship after they beat NC State. I said winner of that game goes to the ACC championship, and then Clemson proved it.
Headley, are you saying you see Clemson in the playoff this year?
In the playoff. And Brad, if Clemson's not in the playoff this year, I will eat your shorts. Deal.
It's kind of theirs to lose. I mean,
it's absolutely theirs to lose.
I think
they're
Clemson,
what? They're 4 now, 4 or 5.
What, Clemson? Clemson is 5th. You could make the easy argument they could be 4th.
Beating Clemson this year.
No, they've already played their 2 toughest games against Wake Forest and NC State, and they won both of them. So
right. So really, it comes the last few years. It's always kind of came down to Ohio State, Michigan. Whoever loses that game, and then the SEC toss up, because there's always 2 SEC teams that are kind of fighting for one of those spots. So really, yeah, as long as Clemson kind of stays consistent and wins football games, they should have no problem making the playoffs.
I mean, they might be close. If they go undefeated, they could be close.
If they go undefeated, I think they're in for sure.
Yeah, they're in for sure.
You go undefeated in a Power 5 conference and win the championship game. That's tough to keep.
Gosh, but ACC's not that strong.
No, it's not. But they've already got. I mean, they got the win over the 2 toughest opponents, Wake Forest and NC State.
You got Louisville.
Because, NC State and Wake Forest are both top 15 right now. They got the wins against those. So their toughest opponents left now are Florida State and Syracuse. Syracuse has now crept into the rankings.
Syracuse is undefeated. I did forget about the orange. But have you guys seen the second half of Syracuse's schedule?
Is it a joke?
Dude, no, they're going to get beat down, man. It's going to be bad.
I think Clemson always is due for a bad loss.
Yeah,
I don't like Dabo. I'm not a huge Clemson guy, so I'll never count them in just because I don't. Yeah. That's a little bit biased, but I'm gonna do it.
It's theirs to lose. It's theirs to lose.
Absolutely.
And if they win the ACC Atlantic, they play the winner of the ACC Coastal, which is often compared to the Big Ten West, is especially this year the worst division in college football. Excluding Pac-12, they're kind of a joke anymore. But anyway.
Should we just jump ahead to the Clemson NC State game real quick, and then we can go back?
We can, yeah. Let's do that. Clemson does beat NC State 30-20. It's a good win over a top 10 team. Theme of the day: NC State with 34 rush yards. You're not going to win a game when you have 34 rush yards.
That was kind of the theme throughout this weekend, I suppose. I just think for Clemson to kind of come back and win that game last week against Wake Forest, it kind of helped push their momentum into this week. It was game day, great atmosphere down in Clemson, South Carolina, and I just think their Uiagalelei is looking pretty scary right now, quarterback.
I don't even know how to. Max, how do you say that dude's name?
DJ Uiagalelei.
Ukulele, as Connor said last week.
Yeah, DJ Ukulele.
That's all you need to know.
I was really hoping NC State would win this game. It was close for a little bit, but 10 points isn't bad.
No.
What was the spread? Like 10? I think.
Clemson's favored by 7.
Yeah.
Around there.
Vegas knows, man.
NC State did get the win over them last year, so I think we're going to start to see a little bit of a rivalry start to form where it could be kind of going back and forth each year.
I hope so. I'd like to see
somebody contend with Clemson in the ACC.
Yeah, it would be nice. Moving on from the ACC discussion, though, we could talk about the Jayhawks again. They beat Iowa State 14-11. The Cyclones had a game-tying field goal attempt toward the end of the game that they missed. So Kansas gets the win. Surprisingly enough, though, Iowa State had 20 first downs to Kansas's 10. So they really played a pretty good game. But what's our theme of the day, guys?
Rush yards.
Iowa State had 26 rush yards.
Oh my
You're not going to win a game when you have this fewer rush yards.
How many rush yards does Kansas have?
I don't know. Let me check that real quick.
50. While he's checking that, I'll say Kansas. It was an impressive gutsy performance by Kansas. 14-11. That's tough, man. But I'm rooting for them.
Like an Iowa game.
Yeah, true. I'm rooting for them for one more win. I am a little nervous. Their magic is running short.
Yeah,
I just have that thought in the back of my head. They could be a good team. Greg Kipp, who came on our show last week, he thinks they're a fantastic team. He thinks there's going to be 10 wins. I'm a little nervous. Their magic is running short.
I'm happy
that I got to see Kansas make this run. I'm happy that I got to see Kansas have fun at their homecoming game last week and have a little fun at their college game day before they lose 7 in a row to end the year. They aren't going to win again this year.
I am so happy game day is going to Lawrence. That is
awesome.
And I'm going to disagree. I think Kansas really showed that they have the grit. Their defense is able to step up, only allowing 11 points to Iowa State, only allowing the 26 rush yards because their offense was averaging, I think Greg said last week, like 46 points a game, one of the top offenses in the country. And in a game where their offense is not performing well, their defense was able to step up and win that football game. And I think they deserve to be ranked. I'm excited that game day is going to Lawrence this weekend, especially when they're going to be playing TCU. Also just came off a big win. The atmosphere is going to be unreal. I think they could still pull it off. They're playing well right now. Cinderella story, just winning again this weekend.
This game for the rest of the season is Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Hey, I think they're gonna win.
Win what?
This weekend.
Oh.
You said they're gonna lose their next seven games.
I think they're gonna lose 7 games in a row. Yeah.
At least been waiting for this all year, just for their magic.
This is when it
crazy.
starts going poorly.
I don't know. Had they,
That would be funny though.
it would be funny.
It would
It's like they're
tough.
so
I would
close.
feel. I
they
feel
haven't
really
made-
bad for Greg, but it would be.
Oh
funny.
yeah, they're so close to one more win to make it to a bowl game, and they're just not going to do it. It's just that classic, like, it's just not going to happen. I'm a little nervous.
Classic Kansas.
Classic Kansas,
They
even
got,
though it's not really. They just were bad.
They got a big test this weekend, that's for sure. And we'll get into that one too. Next up, Mississippi State loses to A&M 42-24. I think we said this last week, but A&M is fraudulent officially.
A&M is fraud team. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Tough look for
I don't
Jimbo.
even want to talk about A&M. They're so fraudulent.
Yeah.
Yep. Next game.
Yeah, we might get into their Jimbo Saban matchup later. Next, Georgia beats Missouri 26-22. This was my lock of the week. I thought Georgia was going to bounce back after the Kent State game, play a clean game, get a big win over a Missouri team that I didn't think was that good. But man, that was not the story for this game. The Tigers came out. They were leading this entire game up until late in the fourth quarter when Georgia took the lead. And Georgia's been looking a little sloppy. They had another 2 turnovers in this game that led to Missouri points. They keep shooting themselves in the foot. And I think, sort of sidetracking, them and Alabama have looked certainly beatable so far this year. But Georgia looks like they could lose any game at this point. I mean, I don't know. 2 almost upsets kind of in a row.
Yeah,
It's good to see Georgia and Alabama looking beatable. That's exactly what I want.
It is, yeah.
I got in my notes here. I think Georgia might be in some trouble here if they keep playing sloppy like this.
Yeah.
They still have some tough games in the SEC. If they play like this, they might even ruin their chance of, making the SEC championship in the playoffs this year. So they kind of got to get back in practice and hitting the what is that called? I know, working on the fundamentals. And making sure you're not losing concentration and just focused. So kind of the same stuff that Nebraska needs to start doing. So
Yeah, it's a tough look for Jimbo. He's one of those guys that got a absolutely gigantic contract a few years ago. He got like 10 years, $75 million guaranteed. And all of a sudden A&M has looked mid. So mid. And speaking of coaches with gigantic contracts who are underperforming, let's get on to Mel Tucker and his Michigan State Spartans. They lose again to Maryland 27-13. Little contract reminder, 10 years, $95 million. It's all guaranteed for Mel Tucker. And now they're in store for potentially another losing season. They have a losing record right now. Tough look.
Bad. Just everything. Bad. Michigan State, bad. Mel Tucker, bad. The team, bad. The contract, bad. It's I don't know. Max, what is it? What is it? Bad.
Glad I got that one right.
Brad without the R.
So yeah, Michigan State screwed. Like what Brad said, everything in that situation is just bad. Tough look for Michigan State.
Yeah, they have, as we know, a very bad pass defense, 115th ranked in the country. They give up 314 pass yards to Maryland, on par for their defense, and still really bad. Is that everyone has for those previews? Because if so, we can get into a quick little Big Ten West talk here. What are we thinking now that Minnesota loses? Because I know last week that was a lot of our favorites. Some people still had Iowa, maybe even throw Wisconsin in there. And now Wisconsin looks bad and in a dire situation. Minnesota loses. They look bad. Iowa, they don't really have an offense. This division is crazy, and I absolutely love it.
This could be me drinking the Kool-Aid too. It's anyone's division.
It is.
We could win this again, boys.
Yes.
Bring it back. Let's go.
I think
a little optimistic there.
Anybody's division. This is a bad division.
It is anybody's division. But I
There's
don't
a
think it's
6-way
Nebraska's.
tie for first place.
I wouldn't favor Nebraska, but to say that they don't have a chance would be absurd. They easily have a chance in this division. Easily.
Even Wisconsin 0-2 has a chance. That's the crazy thing.
Absolutely.
It is anyone's division. I am also saying that was a very homer of me.
We're having fun.
We're having a little fun. Yeah, it's a podcast.
Professional
We
sports
like to have
company, Brad.
Hey, can you please be professional, Brad?
Sorry, guys.
We give 650 yards to Georgia Southern, Bradley.
Different defensive coordinator.
Headley.
Same players.
The same, our second
No,
string
Tommy
players
Hill
play.
played a lot less against Indiana. Different players too.
One guy.
And
like
one
Matt
guy makes
said-
a big difference.
Like
He
Matt
does.
said, I'm not favoring us to win by any means. I still think Minnesota is probably going to turn around and still dominate. But you never know.
Also, Indiana is a better team than Georgia Southern. Indiana is a better team than Georgia Southern, and we saw Nebraska come back this week and beat an okay team.
And honestly, I'm not going to lie. I felt like we dominated that game. I
I would
felt
say so.
that was our game, just through and through. But yeah, anyone's division.
I completely agree, Ben. I think it is. Anyone's.
Insane person. It's an insane person. He gets on and says Nebraska's going to win the West 2 weeks in a row. He said this.
Headley, I am going to drive over to your house and cuddle you so hard. You better stop it. You better stop it right now.
You're insane. I'm
You better
telling
stop
you,
it
you're
right now.
insane.
But Headley,
How many times we
Headley.
got hype after winning one game and then we just lose by 20
Dude,
the next game?
everybody
It
is
is-
drinking the
Brad,
Kool-Aid.
Headley,
I swear to
isn't-
God.
Brad is,
Hey,
Brad,
you
you're
can't
pouring too
actually
much vodka
think-
in your Kool-Aid.
you cannot actually think that is insane to just still think Nebraska has a chance in the Big Ten West, and not because of the fact that Nebraska just won a game, but just more because of the fact that the Big Ten West looks so bad this year. It is the worst division in college football, Power 5 college football right now.
It is so bad. If some way, somehow, honestly, okay, let's be honest. Michigan or Ohio State is going to win the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
I mean, that
Okay.
division is just so
Yeah.
good. Like, there's no West is going to. It's going to be another one of those classic Big Ten championship games where the East just blows us up. So
Is this the
Or
last year of the
we
East
see
West thing?
a terrible Big Ten West team somehow beat a Big Ten East team.
that's Headley. That's a good question.
It'll end in 2 years when UCLA and USC come to the conference. We got this year and next year.
We need to take advantage of the West being so bad right now,
Yes.
because if we don't, we won't see the Big Ten championship for a while.
Yeah, having to compete with Ohio
Everybody
State, Michigan,
else.
Penn State. Oh gosh.
It's gonna be tough. It's
We don't
gonna
really
be
know
tough.
what they're going to do, but yeah, it'll be different.
Legends and heroes. Bring it back.
I think the Kool-Aid's being drank a little bit too much, too
Vodka's in the
fast.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I think Brad is just drunk
Guys.
on Kool-Aid.
No,
Guys,
you guys are.
I'm
I'm
not
so with Brad on
saying-
this. Brad is not saying Nebraska's
Hey, you guys
going
are
to win the
both
West.
insane.
No, we're not saying Nebraska's going to win the West.
Max,
We're saying that the
I've
West
seen
is
you-
so.
It's
I've seen
winnable.
so many times you build yourself up for this Husker victory and then just get torn down the next week. Like, do you not realize you're doing it again? You're insane.
I'm
Guys.
not doing it because I do not expect us to actually go in the West.
No,
I'm
you
just
are
saying.
getting excited for Husker football.
I'm getting
I see it.
excited
You're
because we play.
excited.
Headley, I'm getting excited because we play a game this Friday where if we win, we are in solo first place in the Big Ten West for the
For
first
one
time
day.
since
Let me-
2016.
Let me
One day.
First time
recap what I'm
since
saying.
2016.
Even if it's one day.
Let me
It might be
recap
more
what
than
I'm
one
saying.
day if Northwestern loses the next day, which they probably will. You guys are being insane right now. It is a shit crap division.
5 years in a row, you hype
Headley.
your team up to be something that's.
I'm not
that's
hyping up our
good.
team. We are bad. But you know what is also bad?
I
The
think we
division
should
that we
move
are in.
on.
No. I'm gonna recap what I said. I don't think Nebraska is gonna win. I'm not saying
at
they
all.
don't have a chance. I'm saying they have a chance. Not
Let's have a little fun here.
you gotta.
Everyone has a chance to.
Yes,
That's what I'm
thank
saying.
You. Moving
Thank
on.
you. You
just
got
proved
it.
our Point.
God.
It's
Everybody's got a
impossible.
chance
Everyone
when,
has
when
a
you're
chance.
2
You
games
got it.
into
You got it.
conference
Even
play.
Iowa has a chance, and they're bad.
Better chance than Nebraska.
Dude,
That's
there's
for
not
sure.
Yes,
true.
agreed.
Hey, dude, there's a chance that the Jets win the Super Bowl this year.
Yes.
No, not as good of a chance
Whoa.
as even remotely competing.
Still
for the
a
But
Big
they
Ten
have a
chance.
chance.
I want to see if I can find odds for the Big Ten West.
That's the point. That is the point here. Is anybody's division here in the West? It's
Hadley had a chance
division.
to get a girlfriend, but
And he
finally
did.
What our point is, Brad, we're 2 games into conference play. Of course, everybody's got a chance.
Well,
Yeah,
but you guys
Devin,
are
Devin,
accusing me
you're,
of.
you're thinking too literally. Of course, 2 games in, everyone still has a chance.
everybody has a
Standings wise, I'm saying everyone has a chance literally with what you've seen on the field. Like the division has not looked
Northwestern have
good.
a chance?
Huh?
Does Northwestern have a chance?
Everybody in the
Yeah,
West
I
has
mean,
a
they're
chance.
Northwestern
1-1.
is technically like
it's
sort of
just
solo
you
leading.
guys
They're
didn't
not
think
sold on
Nebraska
that.
had any chance until they beat a okay Indiana team.
A mid Indiana team.
Yeah, no one's
Now-
denying that. We
Does
now
got
they
Iowa
have a
play
chance,
Indiana?
but last week they didn't.
Does Iowa play Indiana?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
I
not sure
hope
they do.
Iowa
I
beats
don't
the
think they do.
crap out of Indiana, or other way around. I hope Indiana beats the
I
crap
hope
out of
Iowa
Iowa.
beats them. I don't think Iowa plays Indiana this year.
They don't.
If I still had to predict Nebraska's season record, I think we get 1 more win, maybe 2 if we're lucky. Like actually, but I'm just saying that the
I agree
division,
with you on that.
the division is so bad that if Nebraska can somehow string together 3 more wins, like they actually have a shot at that point.
Yeah, they have a chance, but
Even with
the way
3
you guys are
with 3
saying
wins.
chance with too much excitement.
It's because we haven't had it in a
so
while,
excited.
Connor.
Yeah.
You guys are so excited. Quit being
There
so
was
happy and
excitement.
excited.
It's an
6 weeks
exciting
ago
2%.
when we're like, dude, we could win the division, and I decided that's gonna be the last time I'm gonna be insane. You know, I'm going to
Hadley,
stop doing
like
this
I
to a
said,
team.
Like I said,
They
I will
suck.
drive over there right now.
Hadley,
They
right
suck,
now,
Brad.
every team in the Big Ten
Let me
West
give you a big
mathematically
hug.
has the exact same chance, except for
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
not
so.
every team in the Big Ten West gives 650 yards to Georgia Southern.
We have a different defensive coordinator. We gave up barely any yards to Indiana. So in the second half,
They suck.
Indiana is a definitively better team than Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern just lost this week to
Oh, I'm
Coastal
saying
Carolina.
Nebraska
Last
sucks.
week they lost to.
UAB.
They've lost 2 games in a row now. Georgia Southern has.
Okay, we should move on. We're rambling.
Probably.
No, we're not. This was a great
We're just
debate.
arguing.
All
This
right,
is good podcast discussion.
that was a
Awesome.
great debate.
This is what the audience
Great
wants.
debate.
All right.
Right.
Anyway,
Tank of the week.
we will move on to our tank of the week. Just real quick though. If Nebraska beats Rutgers are in solo first place in the Big Ten West. Moving
For a
on to tank
For a
of
day.
the week here.
okay.
Tank of the week. I'm going to start us off here. I have 2 real quick, just because I couldn't decide, but they're very obvious. Oklahoma loses to TCU 55-24. They have their worst defensive performance, probably in my lifetime.
You don't get to take both.
Yeah.
If no one else says the other one, I'll say
All
it.
right, I'll
Yeah.
go next. Wisconsin.
That was not my other one.
Oh, okay. Well, Wisconsin, they get crushed by Illinois, and their coach is fired. Tank.
I had
Mine
the
was
same,
also Wisconsin.
no.
Okay.
That was a tank.
That was.
Brett
Mine-
Bielema, tank.
Mine was also Wisconsin for the same reasons.
Well, I guess I agree with Max. I think the Oklahoma was the tank of the week. But I picked Illinois to win, so I can't really say that was a tank for Wisconsin.
I got Washington as my tank of the week.
Okay.
I think for them to be ranked 15th to lose. Yes, they UCLA was favored, right? By like 3.5.
Washington was favored by 2.5.
Okay, then yes, tank because UCLA covered by a large margin.
Fair enough. My other tank, by the way, was Texas A&M losing 42-24 to Mississippi State. So, but I couldn't decide between OU and that one. But fair enough.
Dude, Wisconsin is just such a tank. I mean, you have Brett
It
Bielema,
is.
big ol' large, engorged, giant, big Brett Bielema comes to town and just beats down on the Badgers, man.
Yeah,
I think
it
I
wasn't even
really described it.
close. Like Isaiah, did you expect them to win by that much?
No. I just expected them to win by like a touchdown. To win by 24 points. That's pretty crazy.
Absolute beatdown. Good tanks. Good tanks. Let's get into a week 6 preview segment. Not as good of a slate as last week, but there's still some really good games on, and it's college football, so we love it. Let's start off with a top 25 matchup in Baton Rouge. Number 8 Tennessee takes on number 25 LSU, who is new to the AP top 25 rankings this week. The Vols are favored by 2.5, which is a lower spread than I would have thought, especially considering that they have the number 2 ranked offense in the country at 48.5 points per game. Apparently, Vegas thinks Brian Kelly is starting to get things rolling at LSU. I don't know if anyone has anything for that game. I would just be excited to see Hendon Hooker, Tennessee quarterback. He's one of the Heisman frontrunners right now. But that spread still surprised me. LSU barely beat Auburn last week, who I think is a pretty bad team. So
and I agree.
Lock. What is it? Tennessee. I'm not locking Tennessee, but I'm liking Tennessee. I think that's a good bet.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to lock anything anymore because I suck at betting.
I feel like I can now start locking things because I finally hit a lock of the week. But I think Tennessee looks really good in this game.
Bad take.
I'm with Isaiah. I think Tennessee is looking really good right now, and their quarterback is playing out of his mind.
Not a bad take on the pick, just bad take on you're allowed to lock things.
Isaiah's still not allowed to lock things.
Okay, once you hit that first lock, it's unlocked, you know.
Who am I to
Yeah,
talk? I lost
I
about
agree.
every bet I made this weekend.
Yeah, well, moving on from that game, which is that one? That's no, the 2:30 CBS game this week is kind of lame. It's Auburn, Georgia, so it should be this one, but it's not.
I thought it was Alabama.
Alabama and A&M is 7 p.m. on CBS, night CBS game this week.
Are you sure about that?
100%.
Okay, well, I'm wrong then.
CBS gets one night game slot a year, and this year they chose it to be A&M Alabama.
Probably thought A&M was going to be better.
Yeah.
They're frauds.
Otherwise, they always have the 2:30 SEC game, which this week is Georgia Auburn. Next, we got the TCU Horned Frogs traveling to Lawrence, Kansas to take on the Jayhawks, 17th ranked TCU, 19th ranked Kansas. This is the first time Kansas is ranked since 2009. TCU's favored by 7 here. And both these teams so far this season are perfect against the spread. TCU's 4-0 against the spread. Kansas is 5-0. Something has to give this game. Don't know which team it'll be, but they've both looked really good so far. Both undefeated.
Congrats to Kansas for being number 19 this week, but I hope they enjoyed it for 1 week because I think TCU is going to wipe the floor with the Jayhawks. I think it's over. I think
There's
it's
a good
over
take
for
there,
Rock
Brad.
Chalk. I think it's over. And I also looked at the schedule. Headley is not wrong. They could lose out.
They're going to lose out. I'm actually going to put my
Let
take
me-
of the weekend for next week, and it's going to be Kansas losing by 20 to TCU. That's
let
why
me
I'm
let me
locking it
tell
in
you
right now.
guys. Let me tell you guys who they play here. Let me pull it up.
Easiest game they have is Oklahoma.
Honestly, that's not even that easy. When
Or
I look
Texas
up
Tech.
Kansas, it doesn't even come up with the football team.
Hey, I've got
They
it up
put-
right
they-
here. They've got
They play
Oklahoma,
TCU, Baylor,
Baylor,
yeah, Oklahoma State.
Texas Tech, Texas, Kansas State, like all of those.
It's
Gonna be so
That is tough.
it's tough. I hope Kansas enjoyed being ranked for the first week, 1 week. They're done for.
I really hope you guys are wrong. And then we can come back. next
Greg would
week
be
and just
very
throw it in your
disappointed
face.
if he was hopping on this week.
All respect to Greg. All
Kansas
respect
is-
to
You
Greg.
guys were high on them last week, and now it's like, yep.
No,
Fucking
I'm,
over
I'm
for
not gonna
them.
lie.
They're
I've been high on
done.
Kansas all year, kind of. First 2 weeks they were high school and then a JUCO. But being 5-0 is legit. I mean, and being number 19, it's legit, especially being in the Big 12. Good for
They have
them.
beat some good teams too.
They've had some really good wins, really good gutsy wins. But I think it's just over. I'm still gonna root for Kansas internally, but I think it's over.
Yeah, I also was pretty low on Kansas all year, and I've been picking against them, and they've been proving me wrong. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do it again. Maybe they'll just keep doing it all year.
I will say, I think Kansas will lose the feel of their fire if they lose this game. Like Brad said, he thinks they're running out of their magic. I think they, I'm not going to fully say that, but I think if they lose this game, they do lose the fuel of the fire, and they could lose out after this. So it'd be very interesting. But like Connor said, they've been proving him wrong all year, and I've been picking them, so I'm just going to keep rolling with it while it's going.
I don't think they lose their fire. They're one win away from a bowl game. They're getting closer. If they were to lose out because they lost this fire, that's pretty ridiculous. I think they can get at least one. I'm thinking they have a shot this week. I think Texas Tech is a winnable game. I think Kansas State's a winnable game. I think Texas could be a winnable game, considering how bad they beat them last year. So anything, it's college football. Anything could happen. That's the best part about it.
I mean,
that's what makes our jobs difficult.
It's where anything can happen. They can start 5-0 and then end 5-7.
Anything could happen. Nebraska can win the Big Ten West.
5-0 against the spread right now. You can only beat Vegas so many times.
That is true. Well, of course, they could beat Vegas this week and still lose the game.
Yeah. They could beat the spread. They could beat the spread this weekend.
They could. This is the first matchup between undefeated teams in Lawrence, Kansas in 62 years in football.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy. By the way, both these quarterbacks are playing out of their minds this year. Max Duggan at TCU, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jalen Daniels at Kansas, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. Highly efficient quarterbacks. Going to be a fun one to see that matchup. This could be a high-scoring game with how these offenses perform. Next, let's get into a little Red River rivalry action. Maybe the least hyped Red River rivalry ever. Both unranked teams. Texas favored by 7 against Oklahoma. This is the first time in the Red River rivalry that both teams are unranked since 1998.
I think Texas is going to wipe the floor with them. They're getting their quarterback back. Quinn Ewers has missed the last 4 games. Dylan Gabriel, uncertain for Saturday in the concussion protocol, as stated today by head coach Brett Venables. So I think if he's out, that's a huge factor. And I think Texas is going to take advantage of that.
I do think Texas has a good chance to win this game. I'm not going to count Oklahoma out, even though they've been bad the last 2 weeks. Still a big rivalry game, and it's always a great game, man. Always big. So not counting Oklahoma out.
Last year's Red River rivalry was up there with one of my favorite games of the season last year. And, Oklahoma's been bad, but I think they're gonna put up a fight here. I don't know if they'll win, especially if Quinn Ewers is back. I think they could get blown out.
I'm down on Oklahoma right now. I think Texas will just walk away with this game, honestly.
What do you mean
I'd be
you're down on
careful.
Oklahoma right now? Everyone's down on Oklahoma, man. They just got blown out by TCU.
Well, yeah. So that's why I said I think Texas is going to walk away with this win easily.
I just don't think there's a take to be had there. I think it's just that they're Oklahoma. They suck.
Yeah, I'd be careful with that rivalry game. I don't know. Both these teams, Texas and Oklahoma, this is funny. Since announcing that they're moving to the SEC, Texas and Oklahoma are combined 11-11. And they think they're going to go to the SEC and get the job done.
They're in for a rough ride.
Yeah. Should be going to the SEC. Mike Gundy and his Oklahoma State Cowboys. That's a true football team right there. Next, we'll mention this one real quick because it is a really good Pac-12 matchup. Number 11 faces 18 UCLA. The Utes favored by 4.5. I don't think anyone here really has much to say about this. I expected the best UCLA home game atmosphere in a long time. Not that the stadium will be full, but I think it'll be pretty close. But I think this is also a chance for Utah to go in there and beat UCLA good and sort of say we're back in the playoff running. We lost our first game. We're getting back into this thing. I think they can make a little bit of a statement here. Finally, with that, go ahead.
Just real quick.
Go ahead, Devin. Go ahead.
Sorry. This is my game of the week. I'm really excited for this. I think UCLA rides the wave of beating Washington last week, and it's going to be a shootout. in, was it Pasadena? Where the Rose Bowl's at?
Yes, sir.
I am looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I think that'll be a really fun game. Good for the Pac-12 to have a marquee matchup back on the schedule. Conference kind of needs it right now. Next, we will preview. We can skip some of these other little notes here, but let's preview the Nebraska-Rutgers game real quick. Or do you guys just want to cover it during the picture? What?
Maybe that'll be last segment, right?
We can cover this quick. Let's go ahead and cover it.
Let's do a preview quick. We can just do our prediction and scores at the end.
No.
What are you guys expecting from this game? It's a Friday night game in Piscataway, New Jersey. The Huskers are favored by 3. This line kind of opened all over the place. I still don't think Vegas knows what to do with the Huskers. But man, it feels like a big game for both teams. Nebraska to keep some momentum going and Rutgers to bounce back after a big loss to Ohio State.
Yeah, I was honestly kind of surprised that Nebraska was favored, but we do have some momentum coming into this game after the win against Indiana. The team looked really good. They played, all 3 parts of the team, special teams, offense, defense, played together in the last game. And then Rutgers coming off the 2 losses in a row. I think that's kind of why Nebraska was favored, because hopefully this momentum kind of carries over. And I don't know. I'm just very tentative on this game, but I like Nebraska's chances.
Yeah, I think what will be tough about this game is the punter putting us in bad field position. I can't even remember what his name is. Apparently he's pretty good. I can't even remember.
Hey, Bushini's
Corey
good too.
Taylor, but he's good.
Bushini
Hey, he's no Bushini.
But yeah, that's gonna be tough. I think our offense is gonna be fine. I know Rutgers' defense is pretty good. And also if our defense plays like we did against Indiana or even better, I think we can win this game, because I don't think Rutgers' offense is very good either.
No, Rutgers has the 117th ranked pass offense in the country, 161 yards per game. And it is because they have had to play their second or third string a lot this year. Vedral's been out, second string's been out. They played their third and fourth string last week against Ohio State. So they've had a lot of issues on offense. But they have not been good at all on offense. So I think that's where Nebraska's defense can step up, play good again, play like they did against Indiana. This offense is probably worse than Indiana's. So I don't know. Bill Bush has another opportunity to show out.
On their third or fourth string quarterback, and their offense is still better than Iowa's.
That's tough. Yeah, I'm more so excited about this game's time than the actual game itself. I'm gonna get off work on Friday, get to watch the Huskers play football. It's always fun. Then I get to wake up and play golf on Saturday. What a great weekend I got ahead of me. I'm so excited.
And Iowa plays at night, so you get to watch.
And I get to watch Iowa play too.
And then watch Iowa play after the golf.
Yes.
Perfect. I agree with that, Headley. I kind of like this too. A little Friday night action makes for a short week, and
it's the high school teams of the Big Ten get to play get to play their Friday night lights, man.
Yes, it's a good way of putting it.
Miss those Friday night lights,
but especially after Nebraska gets a win, a little bit of momentum. Let's see if they can just keep it rolling. Nothing crazy, but just go out there and get 2 wins in a row. That barely ever happened under Scott Frost. Mickey Joseph has already matched Scott Frost's conference win total from last year. So with 1 conference game.
We do get a little bit of Scarlet on Scarlet violence this week. That's awesome.
That is true. Real quick, what is your guys' game of the week?
Max, you gonna go first here?
I guess so. I'm just going to say TCU Kansas is close, but I'm going to give it to Tennessee LSU because I really like watching that Vol offense, and I think they're legit this year.
Yeah, I got TCU Kansas for my game of the week.
I have the same pick as well, TCU Kansas.
Gotta be the Red River rivalry, man. One of the best rivalries in all of college football.
Who cares?
I got UCLA and Utah. I think that one's going to be fantastic.
I think I'm with Headley here. Got the Red River rivalry. Can't say that. That's why they call it the shootout or shoot-down, right?
Great pick,
Or
Brad.
what is
Great
it?
pick.
Thank you, Headley.
I hope your guys' pick loses.
I'll give a little shout out to matchup of the week, which is simply Jimbo Fisher versus Nick Saban with their little off-season scuffle that they had. But anyway, moving on from that, we can get into our locks, underdogs, picks, all that good stuff. Brad, did you want to give us a record update on all this stuff first?
Yeah, I can give a record update here. Let me pull up last week's records. So I will just be going down the list here. So Max went 9-3. Isaiah went 8-4. Headley went 6-6. Connor,
Tough week.
Connor had a tough week here, boys. He went 4-8. I think that might be the worst that's happened.
That is the
Hey, when you talk about his locks, he's 1-4.
1-3. 1-3.
There's controversy with that.
I'm still not last, boys.
Bradley,
Plenty of time to turn around, Headley. You're a bad better.
I went 6-6. I went 6-6 last week. Devin went 7-5, and then Greg, our guest picker last week, went 8-4. So those were our pick'ems
Greg
last
also
week.
had his lock of the week and underdog of the week hit. So
Which is
That was solid.
impressive. Which is very
Very
impressive.
impressive.
And then I can do our season totals here. So Max is now 44-24. Isaiah is 40-28. Headley is 43-25. Connor is 36-32. Bradley is 36-32. And Devin is back up to 34-34 after a little bit of
Let's go.
Marathon, boys.
It's a
We're in it for the
marathon,
long
not a
haul.
sprint.
Devin doesn't get made fun of. I do.
We're in it for the long haul.
I can go through our locks and
Wait, Brad.
underdogs real
Wait,
quick.
Brad.
Yeah.
Who's in first place for the picks now?
For the season?
Yeah.
Max, you are by 1.
What? No way.
Congratulations. Headley had a little bit of an off week here, and
a little bit of an off
went
week.
first. You went first on this last week's. So Max is in the lead. Headley is second. Isaiah is third. Isaiah is third, coming back up. Me and
got you,
Connor are
Jacob.
tied for fourth, and then Devin is fifth.
Yeah, man, enjoy it. Enjoy it for 1 week.
I'm on your heels, though. I'm on your heels.
He is on
I'm
our
sixth,
heels.
actually, not fifth.
Headley,
Real
I'm
quick-
coming for you, man.
Real quick for the locks and the underdogs here. I'll start with the locks. So Max is 3-2 with his locks. Isaiah 2-3. Headley 3-2. Connor and myself 1-4. A little controversy there too.
Yeah,
And
why do
Devin,
I get a loss
2-3.
for not picking it? Why do I get a loss for
Hey.
not picking on a week?
And next time, get
Yeah,
to
that's-
pick it.
Get to
That
picking.
is
Get
kinda
to
messed
picking,
up.
Bullshit.
bud.
Watch my mouth.
Get to
I think,
pick-
no,
get to
but I
picking,
think
bud.
It's
what
kinda
Matt
messed
said,
up.
You miss every
On,
shot you don't
on your
take.
And
birthday,
then-
you can't make the podcast. And you
And
get an
then
L on
the
lock of the week.
underdog. Hey, me and Devin did the same thing. We both got losses for that. And
That's
then
an
the
L for you,
underdog. So Max is 2. So it goes win, loss, cover. So 2, 2 and 1 for Max. Isaiah.
I've been thinking about underdog of the week. I propose that underdog of the week counts as a win for just your
Covering.
underdog winning, not covering.
Yeah, a cover doesn't count as a win. I have
Cover
cover
doesn't-
as essentially a tie.
Yeah, but just
I
incorporate
think
it
it's kind of
into
as a
our
loss.
Really?
into
I like the
our
cover.
like.
I like the cover
I'd
though
say
because
just-
like it shows that your underdog covered.
So for the viewers here, our underdog is not just a win, it is the best chance of an upset.
Yeah,
So
which
I
is
think
why
the cover is fair. So
Cover
back to
you.
what I was saying, Headley,
I think we have a lot of different records going on.
and I'm about to finish. I'm about
Whoa,
to
you're about
finish.
to finish?
Headley is 1-2-2. Connor is 1-2-2. Myself, I am 2-2-1. Big underdog guy. Rice saved me last week. Devin is 0 wins, 3 losses, 2 covers.
We don't fuck with underdogs here.
We're
the alphas.
And so that concludes my little records there. So yeah.
Still mad about lock of the week. I don't know
Hey,
why that's a
hey,
thing.
me, Devin, and you both got a loss. It's all for the Excel formula. Make my life easier. Thank you, Connor.
Well, put an
Okay,
asterisk
we-
by it. Put
we-
an asterisk by it.
Everybody put an asterisk by our records.
The end of the year when I come back and then I have 1 loss that shouldn't count, I'm gonna be a little mad.
Dude, you didn't put in a
know.
lock that week. Miss
All
every
that-
single shot you don't take. Am I right, guys?
It's a good
Wasn't on
point.
the podcast,
Good
was
point.
on
Wayne
the
Gretzky, Michael
podcast.
Scott. All right, I think we can move on. Move on here.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Now we'll just get straight up. Let's get into our locks and our underdogs and our predictions. We'll start with our locks here.
Wait.
Well, we got.
We have a special. We have a special guest joining us.
Yeah, Devin,
tonight.
go ahead and introduce him.
He is none other than my roommate, the Texas born and raised, big time Longhorn fan. In honor of the Red River rivalry this week, we have Mr. Drew Sliva. Drew, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. Brad doesn't do that again. I saw that.
Hey, Brad, what'd you do?
Drew, do you see the order, by the way?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, sweet. We're going to get into our locks this week. So I'll start us off here. I got Ohio State minus 25.5 on Michigan State. Ohio State has beaten Michigan State by an average of 36 points over the last 5 meetings. Michigan State, we know their pass defense 115th in the country. Ohio State has the 18th ranked pass offense in the country. This is going to be a beatdown.
We talked about this earlier. Connor brought it up, but I have Tennessee spread as my lock of the week, 2.5 over LSU.
I'm going with the hot team right now. I've got Kansas State to cover 2 points against Iowa State this week.
Drew, do you have a lock?
Drew, you're muted.
Shit, my bad. Yeah. Obviously, Texas lock. That's it. Nothing needs to be
Right
explained.
on.
Texas,
All right.
Texas minus 7.
Yeah.
Nice.
Here, as I come back for my locks of the week, I have Michigan covering the 22-point spread this weekend against Indiana.
Guys, I looked very long at the locks. I had a very hard time at this. So I'm gonna throw out another one of those. Who knows? Who the hell knows? Air Force minus 10 against Utah State. I will always bet against the Aggies.
That's a great lock, actually.
They are a terrible team. So that's my very, very soft lock.
All right, my lock of the week is actually going to be Alabama over A&M minus 24. I think Nick Saban took it personally this offseason with the comments from Jimbo. I think he goes in there and just never lets the foot up off the gas.
Good stuff. Good locks there. Now let's get into our underdog. It's plus 6.5, so essentially touchdown or greater underdog. They think could get the win. And I'm going to go with the Texas Tech Raiders plus 9.5 points against Oklahoma State. I think the Cowboys are on a high after their Baylor win. I think Texas could maybe catch them a little off guard.
Silly pick.
Silly pick, Max. But my underdog of the week is Kansas over TCU. I think they have a good shot. I'm still going to roll with the Jayhawks as long as they're rolling. So
My underdog of the week, I'm going with Northwestern, 10-point dog to Wisconsin, who's, just fired their coach. Not looking great right now.
All right, I got Middle Tennessee, 9-point dog under UAB. Most electric football team in the country. Destroyed Miami. Love them.
I respect that. Respect that.
I like that. I also have the Kansas Jayhawks this week against TCU. That's my underdog.
Me and Drew, man. Let's go Middle Tennessee plus 9 against UAB. Let's go.
I'm also right in the Jayhawk train. Plus 7, I think, is too much for Kansas. I think they're going to cover that.
Wow, a lot of Kansas love there in the underdog pick. They just sneak in at that 7-point dog, so they could get the job done there in Lawrence. Now we get on to our picks for this week. So we got Purdue at Maryland. I think this is such a tough game to pick, but I can't go against the Boilermakers, so I'm going Purdue.
this is such a hard pick. It's Maryland's or no, since Purdue's screwed us all year, but I'm going with Maryland here. I don't know. It's gonna be tough, but I'm just gonna stick with my pick.
Yeah, I actually flipped a coin on this one. I got Maryland.
I don't know either of these teams, but I think I'll take the Purdue one.
I also had
That's it.
no idea for this one, so I just went with Vegas, and I'm taking Maryland.
So I left this one for last because I, like everybody else, had no idea. I'm going Purdue, man. I'm going Purdue.
Boiler up, baby.
I'm taking Maryland. I'm sorry. I've doubted. I've went for Purdue for so long. I got to stop doing that. I'm taking Maryland. Give me, what is it, the Turpins?
Well, there's no way that Purdue can get us again this week.
I was going to say, at least we all didn't pick for or against Purdue, so that's nice.
We are completely split on that game. Like Power 6 is split.
Oh, nice. Well, going to be good to see that one. Next, Wisconsin and Northwestern. Wisconsin's favored by 10 after firing their head coach. I think it could be a close game. I think just Northwestern's too bad, and I think Wisconsin bounces back in the rush game, giving the Badgers.
I got the Badgers as well.
Yeah, I got Braylon Allen and the Badgers winning that one.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Yep, I got the Badgers. They ain't losing to Northwestern.
Give me Wisconsin.
I absolutely loved the tweets that were coming out from Braylon Allen this week about the Paul Chris firing. So I think he is going to be fired up. Give me Wisconsin.
Next, we got BYU and Notre Dame. Cougars still ranked 16th. Notre Dame favored 3.5. I think this is another kind of toss-up, but I think Vegas has this one right. I think Notre Dame wins this game.
Give me Bradley's Cougars here. I'm going BYU.
I've got Notre Dame. I just think Notre Dame. I don't know. I'm still believing in them, even though I shouldn't.
Yeah, I think I'll take Marshall in this one. Or I mean BYU. Sorry, BYU.
Yeah, when in doubt, pick Vegas. So I'm going with Notre Dame.
Yeah, my Cougs have let me down, man. My Cougars let me down. So I'm going Notre Dame. BYU kind of was in a dogfight with Utah State, and you guys know how I feel about Utah State. So can't pick with them.
We talk a lot about fraudulent programs. I think Notre Dame is one of them. I was high on them against Ohio State week 1. They have just continued to disappoint. I'm taking BYU.
Fair enough. They're on a 2-game win streak, though, so maybe trying to bring it back here a little bit. Next, Kansas State travels to Ames to take on Iowa State. I'm going to roll with my guy Adrian in this one. Wildcats win.
I got the Cyclones here. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather see the Cyclones win than Adrian.
That's an awful take, but I've got Kansas State. They're my lock of the week. I am one of the 2 Power 6 members that has a positive lock of the week right now. Just throwing that out there.
Early in the season.
I'll take K-State, I guess. They have that one quarterback, so he's pretty good.
Also got Kansas State here. Beating the Cyclones.
Give me Iowa State.
I'm taking the Wildcats here. Go Kansas State.
Next, another coin flip game for me. The Hawkeyes and the Illini. Illinois favored by 3.5 in this game. Opened a little surprising, but you know what? I think their run game is really good right now, and we saw what they did to stop Wisconsin and Braylon Allen. So give me the Fighting Illini.
I'm also going with the Illini this game. They look really good.
I've got Iowa. I think their defense is super good. When you get in these Big Ten matchups, these close games, I think defense is going to win them.
I'll take Illinois.
Oh, might be another homer pick, but going with my Hawkeyes. They're just better than Illinois. They always will be. So we're going with them.
I think Illinois is a good team, and they showed it. But I got to go with Iowa. I'm a little nervous about this one.
I think Iowa's defense is going to be too stout. especially after losing last week to Michigan. I think they're going to come in with a chip on their shoulder. Let's go Iowa.
Stout as hell.
Next, our spread pick, A&M and Alabama. There weren't a ton of big spreads this week, but I thought we'd just get one in, get this game in here somehow. Otherwise, I mean, we'd all pick Alabama straight up, I figure. So we're going to go Alabama spread, 24 points. It's a big spread against little personal rival Jimbo there, but I'm going to go with the Alabama cover. I think the loss last year hurt Nick Saban a lot.
I agree. As we've talked about, A&M's a fraud team, so I think Alabama covers.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Texas A&M to cover on this, just because they got something about them coming into Alabama and playing well.
I'll take Alabama. No more Johnny Manziel, so they can't win.
You know the Aggies are a fraudulent team. I got Texas A&M covering here.
Yeah, I got Texas A&M covering as well.
I think Alabama's going to roll.
Fair enough. All we need to know. Next, Tennessee favored by 2.5 against LSU. This line surprised me. If I had to pick it myself, I would have guessed it'd be like 7 or 8 for Tennessee. So with that, I'm going to choose the Vols to win.
Yeah, this is my lock of the week. I have the Vols as well.
I also have Tennessee. This spread's making me think that Vegas is trying to fool people. I don't know.
Yep.
Tennessee.
The Volunteers, give them to me.
Yeah, give me Tennessee. I'm a little nervous. I think we're all going to pick Tennessee, so LSU is going to win this one.
Do you want me to not pick Tennessee? Would that make you feel?
If we all pick
Please
it,
do.
if we all pick
Please
it, then we
do.
better go to the sports book right now.
We're all saying
Yeah,
it's a
I'll tell
lock.
you.
I'm taking Tennessee.
Oh no.
All right, I'm
We're
going
done
to
for.
Council Bluffs.
We're so done for.
That's-
That's a close spread for a unanimous pick there.
And we all picked Wisconsin too, so we could be really down bad with the records this week.
That's scary. Next, TCU and Kansas. I am saying that the Jayhawk magic unfortunately ends, but I think there's another toss-up, but I am going to take TCU.
I'm going to stick with Kansas here. I think they could be running out of some of that magic, but I'm going to ride them until it's gone.
TCU pulls off the first mercy rule in college football.
They got TCU by a mile. Kansas sucks.
You're right. They didn't
Yeah,
suck last year though.
Yeah, I got TCU. I picked against Kansas all year, and I got to stick with it because I don't want to change it up and then have it go against me. So
I think TCU is going to low-key roll Kansas.
I got Kansas. I think they continue to shock the world.
Next, the Red River rivalry. Drew, if you want to give us a little score prediction for this one, you can too. But I'm just going to pick it straight up. I think Oklahoma is going to get out of their slump. Going to be a close game, but I think Texas is the better team, especially with Quinn Ewers. I think Dylan Gabriel or not, Oklahoma doesn't have that great a QB play.
I'm going to pick Texas here, but I'm still horns down, Drew.
I got Quinn Ewers coming back like Goku when he came out of the hyperbolic time chamber to fight Supercell. He's gonna come back and crush Oklahoma.
They got Texas, obviously. 69-0. I think we can put up 69 pretty easily. So yeah, hook 'em.
TCU almost did.
Oh.
I got Texas.
I got Texas as well.
Oh,
Oh,
I got
no.
Texas as well.
Oh no, we know Devin does.
I absolutely loved Jacob's analogy. I think that was incredible. But yeah, I gotta go those Hook'em horns, baby. Longhorns all the way.
Oklahoma, like we said,
Oh,
Oklahoma's
God.
gonna flip her
Listen.
around now.
Drew, I just want to
Oklahoma
apologize.
is now a
Yo,
lock.
fade the power 6.
Made power 6. Okay, Oklahoma's a lock. Next Pac-12 matchup, ranked matchup, 11 Utah travels to play 18 UCLA. I think Utah is gonna go out and prove that they're still in contention for the playoffs. So I like the Utes.
I agree, Max. I think Utah needs to prove they're still in contention, so I'm taking the Utes here as well.
This is just another stop for Utah on the way to the Pac-12 championship. Utah wins easy.
Yeah, I also have Utah here.
Drew, you go ahead.
Yeah, Utah.
Okay. I got UCLA. They look
There it
dominant.
is.
They look dominant.
I also have UCLA. I think they carry the momentum they had last week, and they're gonna continue to roll.
Here we go. Like to see some different picks get in there.
Yeah, I was kind of nervous.
Yeah. And last but not least here, we'll get into a Nebraska prediction and their score against Rutgers. They play on a Friday night in Piscataway, New Jersey. Huskers favored by 3. And I think they get the cover. Going to be a little bit lower scoring for Nebraska's standards. We've given up a lot of points and scored a lot, but I think it's going to be 28-24 Nebraska.
So I also have Nebraska in this game, but I think we're going to push. I think it's going to be 24-21. Not cover the spread and just sit right at the middle there.
Yeah, guys, I have to do this for us as Husker fans. I pick Rutgers 21-20.
Thank God.
Damn, you could have picked Nebraska because I got Rutgers 3-2 in a shootout.
No.
The year of the safety, man.
All right. Yeah, I also got Rutgers. I got them 4-2.
Wow.
Give me Nebraska 24-17.
I like Nebraska 21-17.
A lot of close scores there. 1 possession win for the Huskers or 1 possession win for the Scarlet Knights by way of a safety.
All jokes.
Yeah, no, I know. It's good. So, Connor, real quick, do you have an Iowa-Illinois prediction? We didn't do that.
For score?
Yeah.
For score, I got Iowa 17-14.
I like that
Wow,
classic
they're
Big
gonna
Ten
be
score.
scoring.
That we have to say, but that would still hit the under. I think the under is down to 34.5 right now. So Iowa just loves the record-setting unders this year. Absolutely insane.
That's the goal. Kirk Ferentz is like, we got to get the record under, boys.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, I did want to say this too, because Headley and I were talking about this at the Nebraska game. I personally do not think any of us will end up in the positive on locks this year. It is hard to beat Vegas. Even the best bettors are like 55%. It's hard to beat Vegas.
I think I'm going to do it.
I'd love to see one of us do it. That'd be awesome. Or a couple of us.
Headley, let's just see your bets do positive then too.
I paid my bookie this morning.
All right, we can get.
Max, what was your lock this week?
My lock was I like Ohio State minus 25.5 on Michigan State. I think they're gonna.
It's done. I bet it. Wait, what line did you get it at?
Wait, you're betting the Buckeyes?
Yeah, this says 27.5.
I had 25.5. I looked at that last night.
Well,
Maybe
Max had it. Max had it earlier than you had.
Oh, do we have to?
No, because when Max
Is that a fraudulent lock?
Do we have to say it has to be 27.5?
You guys, I got it. I saw it at 25.5 last night. Let me see where.
We've always gone based off what Max had when he did the agenda. So.
Oh, Max
Yeah, I just did it when I looked at the
sportsbook.
agenda. So.
It's just
Max
like when you bet. If you bet when it's 25.5, you get that bet. And if it changes the next day, you're still on that bet. So Max
Yeah,
is fine.
Caesar says it's at 26.5.
I promise you, I
fine.
saw it at 25.5 last night. So.
I believe the almighty Max. Weatherman Max.
Weatherman.
He's also a weatherman.
Weatherman Sportsbook.
It's gonna
Everything
be
in
cold
between.
for Friday, Saturday, by the way.
Headley, what was your lock?
Mine was Kansas State. Cover 2 points against Iowa State.
I'll go bet that one.
Bad luck.
Go bet that, yeah.
Hey, the two winning records for lock. I don't know.
2
You tell
positive
me.
lock, guys.
I have a fraudulent record.
All right. Anyway, we'll wrap things up here. It's been a long episode. So Isaiah, I know you'll hit on this too. Thank you so much, Drew, for joining us. We really appreciate it on Red River Rivalry Weekend.
All right, yeah. Thanks, Drew. We appreciate
Come
you
on,
joining
baby.
us. Yep. No, I'm still going horns down, even though I picked
Yeah,
them.
fuck you guys. I'm not.
Yeah, thanks, Drew.
Bye, Drew.
Bye.
All right, guys, that's everything we have for this week. Exciting week of college football action upon us. Make sure if you don't already, you follow us on all our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and check us out on YouTube. We're actually getting quite a bit of views on there, so thank you guys for that. And as always, make sure you guys have a fun and safe weekend. Don't do anything stupid, and go Big Red.
Go Hawks.
Horns down.